Hello, and welcome to our extended disc webinar. Today's webinar is part 3 of our disc style series, and today we're focusing on S style. I will be recording this webinar, so in case you check in later or you need to run or you want to share it with a coworker, it will be recorded in our YouTube channel. The other thing I encourage, Amy and I encourage you guys to do is to feel free to ask questions. Unfortunately, though, it is this, we won't be able to answer your questions live, but please feel free to put it in the questions section, and I promise you we will get back to you after the webinar. So let's get started. Today, you're going to meet Sam. Sam is our S style, and our webinar today is called S Styles, Am I Supported? My name is Christina Bowser. I'm the host, and I'm also the training director here at Extended Disc North America. And joining me is my colleague, my wonderful colleague, Amy Lipinski. She's a senior trainer here at Extended Disc.
Thanks for having me, Christina.
Always. So why don't you get us started?
Absolutely. One of the things we always like to start off with is the idea that none of the styles are better or worse. It's kind of the foundational key points that we want to mention before we start talking about the styles. They all have similarities and they all have differences. All of the styles have strengths and they all have areas of development. And interestingly enough, 99% of the individuals that take the extended disc assessment have a combination of styles. So today when we meet Sam, we will be talking about Sam as though he were 100% pure S style. When we think about, though, the majority, 99% of the people who have taken the assessment are a combination of the styles. Talking about Sam in the 100% pure form, though, allows us to truly understand Sam as an S style. Another thing that we want to point out is that the extended disc assessment does not measure attitude, intelligence, or values.
So we drive this. You hear us talking about it in every one of these disc style webinars. Because it's that important to recognize. Amy and I have been very honest and open about our own disc styles. We're both S styles, but Amy happens to be an SC and I happen to be an SI. And even though we're both dominant S's, we come out differently sometimes.
Absolutely.
I tend to probably push her be more analytical because I have that I coming out in me. She's like, Christina, calm down. So just remember, your DISC tool, as powerful as it does not give you a complete picture of who that person is. It gives you a lot of information, but it doesn't account for those things that Amy talked about. All right, so let's go on to talking about where does the S style fall in relationship to the other four, to all four disc styles. You have here the extended disc diamond, which I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with. You have your D's and C's, who are your task-oriented styles. You have your S's and I's, who are your people-oriented styles. And it doesn't mean that, the Dianas and soon to meet Carols of the world can't and won't focus on people and emotions and feelings like Sam and Ian. It's just that they have a natural preference or tendency to focus more on the task, and Ian and Sam have more tendencies to focus on people. They are also broken into halves, reserved versus active. Sam and Carol are naturally more reserved styles. They like to work in proven environments. They tend to want more information before they make decisions. Whereas Ian and Diana are active styles. They're big picture. They like to move quickly. They're much more future focused. So where does Sam show up? Sam is a people-oriented style. So like Ian, he focuses on people and he has strong emotional ties. But unlike Ian, because Sam is more reserved, those emotions that Sam feels tends not to show up on the surface. We don't usually observe these emotions that Sam's feeling. So he kind of comes across as kind of calm and easygoing. And Sam likes people, just like Ian, people oriented style, but Sam is more reserved. So he tends to like and focus on people he knows. He's about building those relationships. So, Amy, let's introduce Sam.
Great. Meet Sam. On the screen, you see some of the words that describe Sam. Christina was alluding to some of these already. Sam is super easygoing. He just kind of goes with the flow. He's steady. We call Sam the steady Eddie. He likes things to remain the way that they are. He likes the tried and true. Sam is super amiable. He's polite and friendly. He's careful, patient, super inclusive. He doesn't like to leave others out or make people feel left out or alone. He's a great listener, and Sam tends to be very modest. He doesn't like to toot his own horn. So Sam can be a little bit more challenging of the 4 disc styles to identify. And the reason why is because Sam is like a chameleon. Those S styles can be challenging to identify because they kind of can manifest themselves looking like any of the other styles. So he can be similar to Carol, our C style, in the fact that Sam is reserved and quiet. There's times where he can come across as an I style like Ian, because if he's feeling comfortable with you, he can be super friendly and amiable and talkative. Sam can also at times look like Diana. When you give Sam a task to complete, when he's focused and working hard on it, he can almost come across D-like in his behaviors to accomplish that task. So oftentimes, Christina and I will say it's easier to go in through the back door. What are the behaviors that Sam is not demonstrating to clearly identify him and say, oh, he must be an S style, right? Because he's not a D, he's not an I. And as we talk next week about Carol, we'll see that Sam isn't as focused on those tasks like Carol is.
So for me, even, I will be even easier than that. I say that if you're trying to identify what that person's style is, if you can't figure out what it is, I would always guess S. Because when you look at these attributes that describe Sam, they're usually, you can see they're kind of softer, kind of more nebulous, versus you heard us talk about Diana, you heard us talk about Ian, and even when we talk about Carol, their attributes, their descriptors are much more clear cut. I almost say in your face. So that's kind of what Amy was alluding to about going through the back door. It's very clear to be able to identify disc styles of the other styles. So by eliminating them, you can narrow it down.
So let's take a look then at what Sam tends to focus on. Sam's focus is to be involved with familiar people. He likes to build rapport and relationships. When Sam is feeling under pressure, he becomes too accommodating and polite, and oftentimes says yes way too easily. Sam is one of those who has a hard time saying no. He doesn't want to disappoint others. He wants to make sure that he's kind of accommodating and helpful. His biggest fear is loss of stability and a secure environment. Sam is all about being steady. He likes things to remain the same, the tried and true. His attitude towards change, it's working fine now. Why change? Right? Let's keep going. If there's not a compelling reason for change, why would we do it? And his attitude towards action is let's do it as we have agreed upon. Sam is very big with his agreements and his commitments. And sometimes the other styles don't even recognize that they've made a commitment or agreement with Sam, but to Sam it has been. So he will definitely keep his promises and will not overpromise or oversell to someone.
And sometimes with people thinking about Sam and doing things, they think that he can be slow or indecisive, but it comes back to how he makes decisions and how he approaches doing things. He wants to make the best decision for everyone around him. He wants consensus. So he's waiting for someone either to give him opinions or take the lead. So when it comes to doing things, when it comes to making decisions, he will be slower. So let's start with the office space. His office space is a great way to identify the Sams in your workplace. So his ideal office space is probably going to be cozy, almost home-like with personal touches. Maybe he'll bring in a plant or a little rug. He'll have pictures of maybe his kids playing sports or of his family and friends, which give him kind of that additional sense of security and comfort. He sees his office as his sanctuary where he can escape from kind of the office chaos. Although he's probably going to be really happy to have you stop in for, a chat or even to find a sympathetic ear. He'll have wall calendars or dry erase boards to keep him on schedule and to keep him on top of things of what's to come. So not so many surprises along the way. And what you probably won't find is the latest and greatest in technology or furniture like Diana or Ian. He doesn't need the biggest corner office with the best view. He just wants a place that he feels secure and comfortable and that he's in with all his team members.
Absolutely. So when we think about how to identify the Sams in our lives and in our office spaces, Sam is calm. He doesn't get excited easily. As Christina mentioned, he can also appear indecisive because he's pondering those alternatives. He's looking to get consensus and collaboration from everyone. Sam is a very active listener and carefully listens. He also tends to nod and go along because nodding is part of active listening. And Christina, you had a story about Sam when he was actively listening once, right?
Yeah, so like think of your company. Your company just came out with this launch of an innovations grant project. So they're willing to give you money if you can come up with great ideas to innovate your part of the workforce. So Diana, who's our D style, hears about it and she's like, totally, I am so going to do this. We're going to rock this. And so she goes and seeks out Sam because she knows Sam will help her get things done. He'll get the work done. So she goes up to Sam and she goes, Sam, I have all these great ideas and we're going to do this and this and this and this. And I'm going to present it and then you're going to do it and we're knock it out of the ballpark. And the whole time Sam is nodding his head, smiling. Mm-hmm. And Diana's thinking, yeah, he's so bought into this. I got him. But Diana may not be recognizing is Sam is actively listening. He's nodding to tell you he hears what you have to say. But there's a good chance that he is not all bought in yet. He's going to want to think about it. So that's something to think about, Diana, when next time you go up to Sam with your awesome ideas.
Absolutely. And as Christina mentioned, Sam likes his own personal space, his sanctuary, his office, right? He's going to say, let me think about it. He wants time to make that best decision for everyone involved. He also tends to ask a lot of questions and will inquire about the specifics, again, because he's looking to make that best decision for everyone. And he believes in fairness and loyalty. So Sam, as a manager, probably has some sort of system to make sure that he's not asking the same person over and over to accomplish tasks. He's having a rotation of stretch assignments for people and giving ample time and opportunity for everybody to pick their vacation time and time off. And Sam is also very loyal in relationships as well as brands. So once he kind of finds that niche of something, he's going to stick with it. And also because it ties into the fact that if he changed, he doesn't like those sudden changes or disruptions in that steady eddy. Sam has strong opinions. He doesn't tend to vocalize them or express them. So even in Christina's story, when Sam's interacting with Diana, he might be thinking, you're nuts, that's never going to work, but he's not going to necessarily express his opinion. He's going to keep that to himself. Diana has to draw it out of Sam. And many of the other styles have told me that drives them nuts about myself, right, as the S style.
Yeah, one of the
And
things I always say is, I tell everyone who knows me, it's like, don't tell me you're going to do something and then not do it. In fact, it's better if you don't tell me at all, because if you tell me and then you don't do it, it just aggravates me to no end.
exactly. And it all goes into that sincerity and believing in promises.
And trust, yes. You
Yes.
might not think of it as a promise, and maybe you have great intentions of, having coffee with me next week.
Right.
But I, the S style, will probably see that as promise. You told me next week.
Mm-hmm. So, as all of our styles, they have strengths, and the strengths can be overused to the point that they can become weaknesses. So, Christina, talk about some of the strengths when Sam overuses them and what that looks like.
Okay, so you think about strengths as the way we define strengths, they are things that you probably excel at and you do well. But at Extended Disc, we define them as these are behaviors that are most comfortable to you, that take the least amount of energy from you, and you do prefer these behaviors. So you look at Sam. He's calm, he's steady, he's easygoing, goes with the flow. But sometimes he can overdo that and he comes across as being complacent. That laid back quality we like about Sam. He's very comfortable to be around. We kind of go to his office when we need that sanctuary as well. But sometimes he'll shut down or become passive, and there's just no outward reaction. We can't tell if he's feeling something, or if he's just a spectator, or he just doesn't feel the need to take action. So we don't know that about him. And one of the things that we love about Sam, he's a team player. He's very supportive, right? He tends to put the needs of others before his own. But Sam and other S styles are emotional, and those emotions, because he's reserved, tend not to show up on the surface. So he may start to feel taken advantage of, because he's not saying no, and people keep asking him to help and do things, and he's not usually someone who's good at expressing his feelings. So we aren't aware that he's starting to get these kind of resentful emotions, and suddenly it may manifest into what we call nonverbal behaviors. So maybe he's kind of cooler towards you, or distant, or he shuts down, or shockingly he may explode suddenly, like you're like, okay, where did that just come from?
20 years of pent up energy.
And he'll list every one of them.
Yes.
So Sam, for you Sams out there, you guys have these strengths of being that team player, of being that workhorse, but you should use them, because work is hard enough. We need to rely on our strengths, but we just need to be aware that you can overuse them, especially when we're in that kind of cruise control mode. We've kind of gotten comfortable, or when we're stressed, or when we are emotional, like we're tired or we're frustrated. We tend to overuse our strengths.
Yes. So, how do I identify them? How does Sam communicate? What is his communication style? I often say one easy way is just that rhetorical question of how are you today? Ian is going to answer, I'm fantastic. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful, glorious, sunny day. And if you ask Sam how he is, he probably has his hands folded and he'll say, I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Very polite and reserved. Often the direction of the communication style is one direction. You talk, he listens. So Diana and Ian can love that about him at times, because Sam is that great listener. But remember, he may have some great opinions to offer as well. He does answer when asked, so be sure to ask him questions, get him involved. His communication style is also a little bit more slower and contemplative. He's not going to make quick decisions. He's not going to make quick actions. He likes to create rapport and trust. He talks about topics that he's mastered. He goes beyond the small talk. He's more comfortable in one-on-one or small group situations. So he might be in a large department meeting and everyone's brainstorming ideas, and Sam has some great ideas and he's trying to interject them, but everybody, Diane and Ian, are all talking over him and coming up with other ideas. And Sam just never has a chance to have his voice heard. And so he just remains quiet throughout the rest of the meeting. Then back in his smaller team now with his 4 or 5 coworkers, Sam starts sharing all the ideas he has. And they're like, Sam, why didn't you say that in the meeting? And Sam says, well, I was trying. I didn't have the opportunity to speak. And so he can be more comfortable in sharing that. And a lot of it goes with that rapport that he's building. And Sam also will internally think. So remember last week when we talked about Ian, I was thinking about Ian and he goes with synonymous with weekend, right? Fun. Right. But last week when we talked about Ian, and a story that I shared was that my Ian co-manager kind of rambled as he spoke. Ian likes to think out loud. He's going to give you the play-by-play. He's thinking about it verbally. Sam is going to internally think it through. He's not going to say anything. So if you're on the phone with Sam, it just might go quiet. And you're going to be, Sam, are you there? Hello? But it's because Sam is processing and thinking. That's where webcams can come in handy. The other day, Christine and I were preparing for this webinar and my head just went down and I was writing notes and Christina immediately knew, okay, she's processing, thinking, and, making notes to herself. But I didn't say anything. I just went quiet and head down. And Sam also tends to be a great trainer, instructor. He has the ability in his communication to explain things patiently, calmly, and thoroughly.
Best on one-on-one situations.
Yes.
So just as a manager or maybe as a meeting leader next time, just remember, again, make a slight adjustment. Remind yourself, hey, I have Sam in my meeting today. Just ask him a question. As Amy said, he's going to answer when asked. He might be slower. Don't ask him right at the beginning of the meeting. You'll probably freak him out. But just bring him out. It just takes a little time. It takes time to build that rapport. So thanks, Amy. Let's talk about you, Sam. You, Sam's out there. What can you do? Here are some suggestions and tips for things you can practice or just be more consciously aware of these modifications. If you made them, it would improve your interactions with others. So, in that meeting, speak up. Maybe you don't have to do it right away. Maybe just offer one suggestion one time. Just think about talking more. Practice it. Practice it with people that, maybe you meet small groups, but unfamiliar people. That'll be more of a pushing yourself outside the box. Speed it up. Sometimes it's not all about processing everything. It's getting, think about what Ian does. He's giving you a play-by-play of his life. Think about just kind of processing things quicker. It will get you to the end point sometimes more successfully. And you can do it by thinking less about the details. Remember, you yourself are kind of easygoing and calm, and you like to think about things, but people around you may not recognize that about you, and they're not sure what you are feeling. So think about being more outwardly expressive and animated. You are emotional. That's part of your style. And you have these strong opinions, but again, sometimes we express them and sometimes we don't express them. And when you do, just be aware, it can shock people. They're not used to hearing you with these strong opinions, especially when we're feeling like there's a lot of change going on, change that we may or may not feel needs to happen. Try to be more flexible that way. And again, you're emotional and you feel the emotions, but because they're not on the surface, a lot of people around you may not get that same sense of how you're feeling. So just be aware of that. And the next time you communicate, especially with those task-oriented styles, make those adjustments. Think about being more results focused than, moving about building rapport, talking about people emotions. Focus more on results.
And as we've talked about in each one of these disc sessions, Sam also has a preferred environment and feels comfortable in certain situations. And so for Sam, he prefers an environment that's team oriented and feels most comfortable when he has those close relationships, one on one, small group.
And then when it comes to what motivates Sam, he wants to be accepted. He wants to be part of the team. And the next time you are thinking about giving feedback to Sam, just take that extra moment to really make it sincere. Like, not just say, hey, Sam, great job, but say, Sam, I saw that you spent an extra, couple hours after work. I noticed that, and it really is showing up in this report result. So thank you.
Ways to make it more personal and sincere for him. Sam also has irritations and limitations. So Sam gets irritated by impatience. As we've been talking about, he can be slower and contemplative and indecisive at times. So he gets irritated when people are impatient with that. And his limitation is mostly his modesty, not being able to talk about the great attributes he has, and just being too modest in his achievements and contributions.
So, Sam, just another suggestion for you is that as much as your strength is to be that team player, putting people's needs ahead of your own, your team actually can be more successful if there are times where you recognize it's important to take care of your own needs.
And that always makes me think, Christina, of flying and the oxygen mask that falls down, right? Put it on yourself and then help others. And so if Sam can learn how to put that mask on first, he can help more people by doing that.
Although Amy and I are like, put a mask on ourselves first.
No, I'm going to my child first.
So, oftentimes we think about what it is that's so different about the other styles. What is it that irritates us or frustrates us? So Sam here is talking about that's not how it's going to work. It's just not how we do things here. And the other styles are saying,
stop resisting everything, Sam.
So what we want people to start recognizing, or just kind of build it in, is to recognize that Sam has differences. He has also similarities. And sometimes those differences that he has helps us to do a better job. There are certain things that we may not like to do. It tends to demotivate us. We may even avoid doing, and Sam can bring that aspect to our team.
He's bringing a different perspective. And so Sam's perspective isn't always to resist everything, but his perspective is that he's really trying to hold on to basic values to help the team stay on the right course. The thing to know about Sam is that when he makes a decision about a situation, he is going to pursue it with determination. And if he doesn't agree with it, he's going to put up roadblocks with that same amount of determination.
So just tongue-in-cheek summary, we had Diana. She's focused on, am I winning? You can identify your Ians because they like to be liked. So they're going to ask, am I liked? And with Sam, he's that team player. He's going to want to know, am I supported? So thank you guys for joining us today on the S style. We will wrap it up next week with meeting Carol, who is our C style co-worker. And you can find these recorded webinars on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Extended Disc North America. I'll get this posted today. And please join us next week, August 8th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So thank you to my wonderful colleague, Amy, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Christina.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.